our Mandela Effect stories. I'm your host, HR, and tonight we have Theresa Lynch. She's going to give us her Mandela story and tell us a little bit about what's been happening to her. Why don't you go ahead, grab you a drink, and we'll get started. Theresa, if you'd like to make an opening statement, go right ahead.
Hi, yes, my name is Theresa, and I have been a residue hunter since December of 2016 when I discovered the Mandela effects. That mine all started from discovering that my Skechers shoes that have been sitting on a shelf for like 6, 7 years changed spelling on me, and after that, the effects just kept coming and coming and coming.
Okay.
And what led me to be a residue hunter is I knew the truth was out there and didn't know what a residue hunter was at that time, but I knew that there had to exist the older ways that we all remembered. And it was kind of a quest that I got on. It was like a force telling me you need to do this, like a spiritual force.
Right.
Harold?
Yeah. So why don't, this is interesting, Mandela being a residue hunter. But can you tell me a little bit about what you've been experiencing? Like when you first started, what did you think was going on?
I first questioned my sanity, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah. And after you realized that this was real, what did you think?
I I went through a lot of different stages. I'm not sure how many other people go through stages, but first I was in shock. That was my very first feeling, was shock,
Yeah.
and I couldn't believe it was happening. I'm like, there's no way this is happening. It was too unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I started, looking on Facebook to see if anybody else had been going through this. And I came across all these different Facebook accounts, groups with other people who have been experiencing this. And I didn't feel alone. And I, still went through it, and I would find proof, and I'd be like, there's the proof right there, and I went through depression. I went through a really bad depression. I didn't want to, I was afraid to go to sleep. I was afraid if I went to sleep, I was going to wake up in a strange house or in another country with kids and married, and God knows what would happen to me if I disappeared completely. I was afraid for my reality changing for
Right.
me all at once.
Yeah, I do actually.
And I've gone through so many emotions with this Mandela effect. I mean, I can understand the new people waking up and how they feel, because when we've gone through these stages, I mean, and I still, even now, since 2016 in December, I still freak out. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, be calm. And then, nothing surprises me from day to day. I never know when I wake up, okay, what logo is going to change, what's going to disappear. There's so many different aspects of this Mandela effect. It's not just about logos. It's about countries. It's about islands appearing out of nowhere. Songs have been changing. I mean, it's just like a whole new world for me of things I've never seen before, and new species of animals. I mean, it's kind of amazing in a way to see all these new things that are appearing out of nowhere. You know what I mean, Harold?
Right, right.
It's very interesting. It's sort of like watching a movie every day, continuing on and on.
Never stops.
Never stops. It's like the never-ending story.
Now, tell me, Theresa, when you realized that there were other people that were experiencing similar things, did
Hmm.
did you know at that time that it was going to be so profoundly uh, all-encompassing as far as uh, you know, countries moving, bodies changing, worlds?
No, I didn't know I did not know the extent to this Mandela effect. I didn't know there was all these other, about the body changing, and there being a bone now in the back of the eye. I
Right.
didn't realize how deep the Mandela effect affected different things.
Right. And how long did it take you to begin to understand that uh, this effect was apparently all encompassing? I mean, it
Probably a
affected.
few months. Probably
Yeah.
a few months when I started discovering different things, because it all started with me with logos. Mine for me was logos, and then when I found out, okay, now my songs change. Like California Dreamin', and I
Yeah.
remember began to pray, and I'm like, no way, and I kept playing it over and over and over. And I'm like, it's not pretend to pay, pretend to play, to pray, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how many other things are changing? And then I found out that the Bible's changing, and then I've been having a lot of weird paranormal things happening, like right in front of my eyes, which I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Experiencing things in real time. That's what's freaking me out the most lately.
Have you ever saw uh, buildings disappear, reappear? Um,
Yes, yes, that's what I want to talk to you about. Yes, that is the most freakiest thing. Yes,
okay,
if
can
you want me to tell you the story of that one.
story? Please tell me the story. Let us all hear it.
Well, the weirdest thing that started before the residue and everything changing in front of me is
Yeah.
I had went out to eat breakfast, and there was two girls that came in with a guy,
Right.
and I was sitting pretty much straight and across from them, and I could see the guy sitting on the right and a girl sitting on the left, and then another girl with her back towards me, where I could only see the back of her. Well, the girl that sat down on the left had a shirt on, and I literally looked at it when she sat down. It said volunteers. It was a burgundy shirt with white letters, and I said, I wonder who she volunteers for. So I go back looking at my phone, and I look up again. Her shirt, the words on her shirt that said volunteer now said Queenie.
Wow.
And I looked and I went, what? Because I had just mumbled to myself, I wonder who she volunteers for, because it said VOLUNTEER. And I'm like, no way. And I looked, she didn't get up. She didn't have a change of clothes with her.
Yeah.
It was the exact same shirt with a completely different word. And I'm just sitting there like hitting my head like, what?
Wow.
What did I just experience?
Now,
And after that,
mhm.
I've been doing a lot of residue hunting. I would find things on the computer. Like I had found mellow yellow, and I remember the yellow with a W, and all of a sudden, the W just disappears in front of me, and I'm looking at a still picture.
Yeah.
Just disappears.
Here, huh?
Like it just vanished. Chick-fil-A, I remember Chick-fil-A, CHIC, filet, and I was looking at it on Flickr, which is like one of the channels where people display pictures.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A changed right in front of me. The K just decided just to pop in.
Yeah, that
I
I actually experienced. I was at Chick-fil-A. There was a C, and then the next day we were coming off the Parkway, and a truck
mhm.
pulled next to me, and it had a K, and I was like, "How can that even be?" And we drove down there with my daughter, and sure enough, there was a K. It changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've and bleh, sorry. And other things that's been happening is I bought some cookies. They're like Danish cookies that I get over at Walmart.
Right.
I looked at it on the shelf and I'm like, oh, my favorite cookies. And I looked at the box. There were no merged letters. Took it home, put it up on the counter, in the cabinet, and
Yeah.
I decided I wanted some cookies. I took it down and I visually was watching the letters merging in front of me. I could see them like moving close together
Wow.
in my hand.
And what did you think looking at this?
I'm like shaking my head like, okay, what am I seeing here? And it's like your sensory overload. It's like my brain can't comprehend
What
what
you're
my eyes are seeing.
Yeah. And I
It's
know
like a freak out moment, like what?
uh,
And it's happened to me so much, and it's like it
you
happens to me a couple times every time I'm residue hunting. I'm seeing things want to go back the old way. I found Sally Fields the other day, and I was doing a search for Sally Fields because I remember the S.
yeah.
I found it, and all of a sudden, the S just vanishes. I'm like, oh, you didn't want me to find you, did you?
Wow. And did you ever see any buildings or anything? Because I saw a sign up here out of nowhere in front of Walmart. I left and went somewhere. I came back and there was a sign in front of Walmart that hadn't been there, and it's all rusted as if it had been there forever.
What?
Yeah, the sign just appeared out of nowhere. And
I've seen like signs change in front of me yet, like the Walmart signs or anything like that.
yeah,
Except I have seen a few signs as far as like the McDonald's go, like it's dark now. Now that to me is still a change because I remember the following week it being brown.
wow.
And now the background is black. And there's been a lot, even Burger King, the same thing's happening. And Taco Bell, I discovered that the other day. I went to go pay some bills,
Yeah.
and the taco sign now, the Taco Bell sign has a black background. Now, whether that's an actual change, not an ME, I have no way to prove it. But a lot of signs, and Starbucks is another huge one for me. It says Starbucks coffee now. Well, I remember Starbucks, not Starbucks coffee, and I
Right.
did find some residue for that one to prove it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's been a change for me because you wonder which ones are actual sign, real changes for signs, that they're doing because of corporate reasons.
right, right.
And how do you know the difference between it's a Mandela effect or it's an actual real change? And that's a fine line there. You know what I mean, Harold?
Sure, absolutely. I have a question. Once you realized that this was beginning to be every day, um, did you become more like intense about it, or did you build up to this point, or did you? How long did it take you before you began to see the bigger picture? You know,
Oh my gosh. I would say it's in the very beginning in 2016.
yeah,
It was basically just the logo changes, a little bit at a time, and I've been seeing a lot of those off and on changes. And as time goes on, it feels like it's what I'm visualizing and seeing things get stronger. So I'd probably say within the last year, it's probably ramped up for me so that now I'm actually seeing changes that are happening in front of my eyes. And that's been a lot recently, a lot getting stronger.
well, I noticed that you had done some work with the Statue of Liberty. Um, I noticed that it used to be on Ellis Island, according to all the residue that you had. And
Yes.
I also noticed that when we were talking about the explosion on Black Tom Island, you found residue as far as the torch was concerned.
Yeah,
Whether
and you know what's funny? I don't remember that ever happening, that history. I never remember that. To me, that's brand new.
Yeah, I never heard of it either. It just
No, 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 no. That's no.
and other history things that I had found were during World War II, the Japanese had sent two submarines to attack the mainland, and
Hmm.
the attack kept changing. Like
What?
every ship we would find, it moved a little bit more south, and for one submarine, and the other submarine would be shooting at a different target.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the history changed in that. History changed in photography. Uh,
Oh wow.
you know,
Oh,
HD photography. It looked like during the 1800s, you could actually see what was going on, whereas you
and,
didn't used to be able to do that.
and another thing that's really kind of freaked me out a little bit is that I was talking to Brian and Gloria. We were talking about it one time on the show,
Right?
and supposedly technology is actually started earlier back in time than we think. If that makes any sense.
Sure. I heard that.
Technology is going back a lot further than we know of. I wonder if time is speeding up because that was another thing I want to talk to you about. One of the effects it had on me after I didn't talk to you about this, but I'm going to tell you about it now.
Go ahead.
After I woke up, I would say probably 6 months after I woke up,
Yeah.
probably like in halfway through 2017,
Right.
I had a time loss. I came home from work one day, and I usually get home a little after 5. And the first thing I do is I sit down and I play on my phone.
Right.
Well, I'm sitting here playing on my phone, and all of a sudden, I lost an hour and 20 minutes. And I look at my phone again. It was like 6:40, going on 7 o'clock. And I'm
Wow.
like, there's no freaking way that an hour and 40 minutes went by. Because normally I'll play on my phone, I'll get up and get something to eat,
Right.
and relax and watch TV.
Right.
I lost an hour and 20 minutes. And that's another thing that I think the Mandela Effect is doing is time is speeding up. And I know that for a fact because when I get ready in the morning, I know how long it normally takes me. And now with this time speeding up,
Mm-hmm.
it takes me a lot less time to get like stressed out because I'm like, wait a minute, I know I had more time. And I think we only have like 16 to 17 hours in a day now, not no 24.
Yeah, I think.
And have you seen that, Harold?
Yeah, I've seen that the time speeds up, it slows down, stops. I've heard of people getting caught in time loops uh,
Yes.
where they're driving down to one block of street, and then right before they get to the stop sign, they're back at the beginning of where they started.
Oh,
And
I haven't had that happen yet, but I've had a lot of deja vu.
yeah, well, that's probably also linked into this. This time anomaly thing. We don't know exactly what's causing it, but for some reason, it keeps happening, and it seems to be linked to the Mandela effect. And
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
thinking also, the other things were like alien spaceships and gray aliens. And,
Speaking of that, I got to tell you a story about that. I never told anybody about it. Only Brian.
yeah,
Do you want to hear it? It will freak you out.
absolutely. Tell me.
Oh God, how am I going to tell you this? I've only told Brian about it. It's really going to blow your mind.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to share it with you. I was walking home from work one day. I normally I get a ride home, but that day I didn't. And there were a lot of low clouds. Like really low clouds.
Yeah.
I'm looking up at this one cloud. I'm really scared to tell you about this, but I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
Part of the cloud opened up.
Really?
Like if somebody when your windows how they're foggy and
Yeah.
you can take your hand and kind of like move
What?
it and you can see through it.
Right.
I saw part of the cloud open up and I saw two heads looking out of a window.
Wow.
Like there had been something in the cloud
Yeah.
that was watching me, and I looked up at it, and I'm looking up at it like, wait a minute, I see two heads up there. It looked like there might have either been, I know you're going to think I'm bizarre, but it's true. There might have been like either a spaceship or some kind of vehicle that was in the cloud, and somebody was looking out at me. And when I looked up at it, it literally like looked down at me, and I could see the two heads from the distance. They were round and like kind of oblong, and
Yeah.
I'm like squinching my eyes and I want to take a picture, and I'm getting my phone ready, and it got scared, and then the cloud closed.
Yeah. I the other day, not long ago, I was actually sitting in a Walmart parking lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I looked up and I was just looking at the sky, and I noticed that there was something in the sky and it wasn't moving. And other things were moving, but this thing was solid. It just sat there. And I mean, I was looking at it for like 20 minutes. It didn't move, so I took a couple pictures of it, and it
Mm-hmm.
was almost like somehow it knew that people were watching because suddenly a
Yes.
cloud just covered it. And
Yes, that's what happened. And I could see it. It looked like somebody had like opened a window in the cloud and just was like visually watching me. And I'm looking up at it like, yes, what do like, what do you want? You're watching me. And
yeah,
I'm like getting my camera ready, and it got scared and it closed
well,
its window, and the cloud kind of like closed up.
I can't
That freaked me out.
I can't say what it was because I did take pictures of it, and
It wouldn't let me.
as
It wouldn't
close
let me. It was too fast.
close as I got to it, it looked like something with a lot of lights on it, but
Oh, wow.
I couldn't tell exactly what it was. But I do know that it was sitting in the sky for a very long time, longer than anything we have as far as our technology that
Mm-hmm.
we actually know about. It could be something we don't know about, but as far as stuff we do know about, there's nothing that could sit there that long, just stationary and make no noise, just sit there. And I had actually interviewed someone um, who had had an experience with an alien vessel, or some kind of vessel. in Australia, and she ended up with radiation burns over a good deal of her body because of it. So whatever it is, it's real. It's just a matter of whether it's ours or somebody else's. We don't know that, but whatever it is, it's a real thing. You know what I mean?
Harold, Harold,
Yeah.
I also had two other things that I don't know if it's Mandela. I don't know if it's Mandela affected ME related,
Right.
but it was very, very. It was paranormal, and I wanted to share the two stories with you. And Brian knows about both of them,
Okay.
especially the first one. He was on the phone with me when it happened.
Go ahead.
The first one was the first weird thing that happened to me is I was sitting in my living room near my couch because I like to sit on the floor a lot.
Right.
And I was on the phone with Brian. And next to my TV, I used to have a hermit crab tank because I like hermit crabs. On top of it was a bowl of shells. And I'm sitting on the phone with Brian, and all of a sudden I hear BAM! And I live by myself. I don't have no pets or anything, just a few crabs in the case thing.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I hear BAM! And I said, what the heck was that? And one of the seashells flew across the room, hit my door over here on where I'm sitting now on the right, where I do my laundry, and fell on the ground.
Wow.
Yes, that happened. And Brian was on the phone with me, and he goes, what the heck was that? And I said, do you really want to know? I went over and got the shell off the ground, and I don't put seashells on the ground, especially the round ones, because they're, they hurt your feet if you step on them.
Sure.
And I said, Brian, look at this. And he's like, what? He goes, I could hear it hit the door.
Wow.
About a month ago, I had my friend with me. She lives in the same complex on the other side,
Right.
who's also affected. And she's kind of like a medium. She can see things that are going to happen.
Right.
I told her to come in my apartment, and we went, and I showed her my dad's picture, and we walked through the kitchen. And to the right of me was this statue of like the Italian chef, and it was pushed back on the, pushed back
Right.
far enough it wasn't near the edge.
Yeah.
The thing smashed on the right side of me, and I jumped, and she was behind me, and I said, oh my God, what was that? And I looked down, and I said, where did the statue, how did it get on the floor? And she goes, Theresa, I watched it happen. I said, well, you were behind me. She goes, it knocked itself over, it rolled, and it hit the floor in my kitchen.
Wow.
And I staged the next day. If you know what staging is, I staged, and I haven't felt anything in my apartment since.
Well, that's a good idea. Always to cleanse your.
Oh my gosh! So I've had a lot of weird things happening to me, since this Mandela effect, and also, like I said, watching things change in front of me really freaks me out. Especially when it's merging, and the letters are disappearing. It's just been a really crazy ride.
Right. And so, as far as when did you actually find out about the big ME changes? Like, when you first found out about it, did you have to look and make sure that it's true, or did you?
Yes. Actually, I'm like, what? And I would actually try to find the object. Like I do keep a can of Febreze in my bathroom, and out of my curiosity, I'm like, no, and I pick it up. I'm like, so for my own curiosity, I started looking things up so I could visually look at it.
Right.
And sure enough, I remember the old ways, and I'm like, I know I'm not going crazy. And Brian and I, we do a lot of live calls, which I love doing live calls because I've caught in people who are also affected, but they don't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially the Fruit Loops. That one makes me mad. And what's even funny is whenever I go grocery shopping now, rather than it take me 30 minutes, to go grocery shopping and get some groceries, now it takes me over an hour because I'm literally yelling. I'm literally yelling at the food on the shelf. Like, seriously, I was yelling at the marshmallows last weekend. I'm like, you're not marshmallows, you're marshmallows. And this lady's walking by giving me like a really weird look.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Are you all right? Shall I go?
This crazy lady.
Yeah.
And it's even funny. Another thing that I do, Harold, I like to wake people up.
Yeah, I know. You talk to people about these things.
Oh my gosh. And I try to at least wake at least a few people up every weekend. And you know what? The way that I do it, I approach it differently so it doesn't shock them.
Mm-hmm. How do you
I
do it?
ask them what they remember.
Okay.
And then when they remember the old way, which most of the time they do, I say, look at your phone now. And they pull their phone out because that's the first thing a person wants to do is go to their phone.
Yeah.
And they're like looking at me like, what? What? They do one of those WTF moments.
Right. Do you experience many of the other effects? I mean, the other kind of experiences where people just kind of stare at you like, they have no idea what you just said.
Yes, I get people that don't like. I have a friend slash boss
Yeah.
that knows he knows I'm into the Mandela effect.
Right.
But what's funny, he don't believe in it. And what's just funny is people that are in, I call them non-participant and NPs.
Yeah.
They get so aggressive, and I've noticed people's attitudes towards this, that they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to even look at residue. And I mean, I even show him, I'm look at the residue. And he's like, oh, I don't want to see that. It's like, why not? I'm showing you the truth. That's the reason why I hunt residue, is so that people can see, yes, it existed at one time. And his people around me do not act the same. It's like people have changed. People are more aggressive.
Right. And
I've noticed a lot of that happening where people are not who you think they are. They're like,
right.
They're not really them.
And when you see something that's changed and you show somebody and they react that way, do they look like, let me ask you a question. Do they look
at me like deer in headlights.
Like a blank they got a blank stare on their face? Like
yes.
Something seems to have deleted it from their head.
Yes, like they get like an upgrade.
Right. Like they actually get it deleted at that moment, right? It's just
at that moment, yes. And I know that they've seen it before, but all of a sudden, nope, no, it never, nope, no, it's this way now. Fruit Loops is really FROOT. I'm like, no, it ain't.
Yeah, never saw that before. Like, what?
Yeah, and you know what's funny? And I even said, well, look at the menu. Look at this menu from Voodoo Donuts. Yeah. This place has 3 or 4 different stores, locations, and look, Fruit Loops. And I said, look at the menu. And they're like shaking their head. I'm like, you don't want to look at it? And it's like people don't want to admit that I'm right. Well, and it makes me mad.
If they are able to admit you're right, then that means their world falls apart. You know what I mean? So
yes. People that want to stay in their perfect little worlds do not want their reality changed.
No, and they're scared. And if they have the ability to perceive it, then they may not want to. And the other side is that sometimes they just don't have the ability to perceive it, and then it just blanks, like it never happened. Like have no idea what you're talking about. And
yeah, there's a lot of people I'm thinking that haven't woke up yet, or they're slowly waking up because. My group, we have a lot of new members now that are just like talking about the older residue. Right. And I'm like, yes, that's correct. That's how it's supposed to be. And I have to kind of like comfort the new people. I call them the newbies, the new people who are just now getting into this. We have to make sure that we're patient with them because we've already been through it. You know what I mean, Harold?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I want to be able to help as many people as I can to get through this Mandela effect, because it's a lot to go through. It's a handful. When I'm at work, do you know I spend my lunch hour every day, Harold, hunting residue? Yeah. Literally, I have my TV dinner sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
I'm hunting residue every day on my lunch hour. Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And what do you see as an end to this? I mean, what is...
I don't think there's no end to it.
You think that there's going to be no end to it? There's no way to figure it out?
No, I don't foresee it. I feel like it's just going to get worse as time goes by. I mean, I don't know if you ever, about the new body changes and everything. The scapular on our back is just bizarre looking, and the tailbone, and now the muscles are like cut in two, and our brains, our stomach's all messed up. And what's even funny, this is what gets bizarre. The other day I found out about the stomach changes.
Right.
Do you know my boss who never calls in sick was out for 2.5 days because he was having really bad stomach problems. But I
Really?
couldn't turn around and tell him, oh, yeah, by the way, our stomachs are all changed, and that's why you're feeling sick to your stomach. But I can't tell him that because he's non-Mandela.
Right.
But yet everybody I've been talking to have been having problems with their stomach, and I
Right.
know why.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you explain to a non-Mandela person, oh, yeah, your stomach's all different now?
Yeah. There's just no way. There's no way to do
Yeah.
it. But
It's
what do you think the end result is for our bodies changing? Why do you think our bodies are changing?
that's an easy one. I think we're getting upgraded for something in the near future that we need to be ready for. I think they're trying to make us stronger. Actually, speaking of the body changes, this is really going to blow you away, Harold.
Yeah.
Did you know that I used to have full-blown asthma?
No, I didn't.
Yes. Guess what?
What?
It's completely gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes, I live upstairs, and every time I come in my door, because I have to take the stairs, and it's inside my apartment,
Yeah.
I was like wheezing out of breath. Do you
Yeah.
know I haven't had an inhaler in over a year because my asthma has completely disappeared?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. And I think with this Mandela effect, with these changes with our bodies,
Right.
I feel stronger. I feel more healthier.
Uh-huh.
And here's another weird thing that Brian and I spoke about months ago. Do you know I can't even feel myself breathing?
Really?
No,
Wow.
I can't feel myself breathing. It's like my heart rate has slowed down so much that I can't even feel my own heart beating. I mean, I know I have a heart, of course,
Yeah.
but I feel like we are getting stronger. These upgrades, there's reasons why they're happening. I don't know why they're happening. But I think they're getting us ready for something, and that's why all these things are happening to us.
Wow.
I really do. Like armor, kind of like a armor.
Yeah, I understand.
I think that's why my hands are longer now, and I know because I used to be able to try to scratch my back, and I couldn't itch in the back.
Yeah.
But now with my longer hand, I can itch even better. That sounds funny.
Wow.
Don't need a back scratcher.
So, as a summing up all of this, what do you think these logos and changes are? Why do you think that they're changing music and logos?
I think the logo changes. I keep telling Brian every time I see logo changes, I think there's messages within them. I really do.
I see. And they're
like the Cadbury's one I found the other day. If you look at it, I did post it in the group. There's like 6s.
Wow.
There's like 3 6s. Yeah, and I circled them, and I'm like, Brian, look at this. And he's like, what? And I said, look at the 6s. There's like 3 6s. Some of these logo chains.
Yeah.
To me, some of them are very. I'm not going to say this word because I don't want to say it, but DEM, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Some of those are leaning towards that.
Wow.
Yes, some of them are. And another thing that's been driving me crazy, Harold.
Yeah.
This is a huge one for me. RA, every time I see RA, raw, it's merged.
Huh.
I've seen over hundreds. Every time I see an RA, it's merged.
Huh.
And if you look it up, you guys are gonna see it too. And I just seen a few of them yesterday, and I'm like, here we go. And no matter where I'm at, RA merged. Oh yeah, if I had to name them all, you'd be shocked. And I don't know what it means. And Brian and I came up with a thing. We think that somehow Ra has to do with the sun god.
Yeah, Ra.
I think that's the message, the RA sun telling us about our sun, which is really fake. And I think that's related to that Ra, the sun god. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
That's their way of telling us. And then the glasses coming off, Tom Cruise and Risky Business, plenty of residue for that. There's plenty of residue. The Nanny, what was that? The Goldbergs, there was plenty of residue for that. The glasses not being there, to me, is a sign like take your glasses off and open your eyes and see the truth around you now. Wake up.
I see. But what
I
about
get messages from this. Same
what?
thing for the the sunshine for Raisin Bran. His glasses are gone now. Take your glasses off. Look around.
What about Forrest Gump?
Hmm?
What about the change in Forrest Gump? Like,
That is a strange one. Life was.
is that telling
I'm
us?
thinking they're trying to go back to the past and say was.
So
They want you to go back to the past.
I see. And I wonder why. I wonder why we would want, why they,
I don't know. I try to decipher the different changes. Some of them don't make no sense.
right, exactly.
And a lot of things are like plural. Like another one that freaked me out because I dye my hair, of course.
Mhm.
Sally's changing to me to Sally was huge, and I even spoke to a few people who were affected that work in there, and I actually spoke to them. They said they even remember it being Sally's.
Really?
Yep, I know two people in there that are ME affected,
Right.
and I said, "You realize your name, your sign changed, like we know," and they said. And what happens when you ask somebody higher up? They tell them, "Oh, it's been that way. It's always been Sally." I'm like, "No, it hasn't. I've been dyeing my hair since the 90s."
So you know better.
Yeah, and even my card that I carry around, it's like a club card that you get like a discount. You show the card, you get like 20 or 30% off.
Right.
That even changed.
That's
And another one that freaked me out, which, oh my gosh, I've got so much residue for this one. Victoria's Secret is now Victoria's Secret. I was going to the mall about probably 4 months ago,
yeah.
and I was walking by and I stopped dead in my tracks. I looked up and I went, "What?" And I'm like texting Brian, Victoria's Secret is now Victoria's. And I took a picture, I texted, I sent it to him. He's like, "What?"
Wow.
I found residue on it. Plenty of residue, which I'm going to probably post either tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, plenty of residue for Victoria's Secret. They even had a little tattoo. This is how far this goes. They had a little tattoo that is fake one that you put on your leg or your arm,
Yeah.
and they sold it. And guess what it says?
What?
Victoria's Secret.
Huh.
Yeah, a tattoo that they sold. Yeah, it says Victoria's Secret. Why would they sell it, Victoria's Secret, if their name is now Victoria's?
I have no idea. I wonder what her secret is.
So everything is becoming, it seems like they're taking one S off of one thing and they're putting it on something else. Like, Sally's is now Sally. Victoria is now Victoria's. It's like they're pulling one thing and giving it to something else.
Right.
Like they're switching it around.
And things are changing as far as people's names too. People's names are switching around, changing, losing letters, gaining letters.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jim Carrey.
Yes.
It was only one R, and then it became two R's.
Yes, another one for me, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I love him. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Now it's spelled really weird.
Wow.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. I remember Nicholas, but now it's spelled really bizarre.
Huh.
Yeah.
And
Daniel Steele.
Yeah.
I remember the E at the end. I got plenty of residue for Daniel Steele. I remember the E.
And there's no E.
No. The E's gone. Another one that freaked me out is John Edwards. I've been watching him for years. Now when I look at my book here in front of me, the S is gone.
It's just Edward?
Edward, yes. I found it. It's funny. Sometimes these Mandela Effects wants to find me. Like how I found the John Edwards one is I was getting ready to go on a live show on a Friday, and I tripped over the book in the living room. Like literally, and I looked down. I'm like, what? Sometimes they want me to find them. When I'm not even looking for Mandela Effect, it's like, look at me. You know what I mean? It gets right in my face.
And why do you think that is?
Because it wants me to discover it.
And what? To share it? To show it?
And to share it, yes. Yes.
And if you had to hazard a guess, why would that be?
That is a good question, Harold. I think it wants me to show, hey, look at what's changed now. That's it's hard to answer that question. I tell Brian, I said it wants me to find it. You know?
And
I mean, I find Mandela Effects even when I'm not looking for them. It's like accidental. I'll be looking for residue, which happened the other day.
Yeah.
I found Jolly Rancher, which really looks really weird now. And I
Yeah.
was looking for residue, and I find a Mandela Effect. Brian's like, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
It was. It was Jolly.
Jolly Rancher. Yeah, that one changed.
With an S. And then
But that happens to me all the time. I'll be residue hunting, find
Yeah.
an effect. Yeah,
Huh.
it's funny.
And if you had to sum up everything that you've experienced in this last 2 years, how could you tell someone that has just began to experience this? Could you sum up your experience in maybe a couple sentences?
You mean like I would talk to a person that just woke up?
Right. Sum up your experience as to what you think, is happening, what you think, where we're going, whatever.
I would tell them that we're moving into a new age, like a new type of dimension. I personally think that our realities are crossing over.
Okay.
That's what I feel. I feel there's 2 or 3 of them. Like if you're going down a river and there's branches,
Right.
I think all the branches are coming together into one stream. That makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
And I would tell the new person to please, try not to let it bother you. That this is amazing experience. I know it's a lot to go through. I've been there. Trust me. I'll tell them, we can help you get through this. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out, what's happening to you, and just help and be sympathetic. That's one thing about new people when they wake up. They need comforting. You need to be sympathetic. You need to have patience. Patience is very important when a new person's waking up.
Right. And
I want to do that for anybody in my group or anybody else that happens to be waking up, and explain to them, hey, your reality is changing. Yes, it's going to be hard to deal with, but we can get through this. Yeah. We can all work together. The community is bigger than we think it is, but everybody is going through the same thing, and we all need to be on the same side, and no bickering or anything like that. Don't let anything try to split people apart. We need to work together as a team.
Right. I totally agree.
And be positive, not negative, positive.
Well, that's it has to be, because it's going to happen every day, no matter what. Anyway.
Yes.
Well, Theresa, your interview has been informative. You've shared with us some.
Am I allowed to mention my group?
Yes, you can. Go ahead. Feel free.
Can I talk a little bit about it?
Go ahead.
So, for over a year or so, I've been doing a lot of residue hunting for certain people. Can I say the name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For Brian, I do a lot of residue hunting for him, and as well some for myself. And I've always been kind of in the background. Like when they have the show, sometimes I'll speak up a few times, but most of the time I'm just in the background. I want to feel like I'm accomplishing something, and I want to give credit to somebody because she's the one who jump-started this. Do you know who Cassie is?
Yes, I do.
Cassie was the one that came to me and said, Theresa, you know what you need to do? And I said, what, Cassie? She goes, you need to start a residue Facebook group. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. She goes, as much residue hunting as you do, you need to do something like this. I'm like, okay, where do I start? She goes, well, first we need to get a name. And I started thinking of a name. And I said, well, I do hunt residue, and it has to do with your reality. And we put our brains together, and I said, what about Reality Residue Hunter? Yeah. And she said, oh my God, that's perfect. And we put the little explanation points after it. And she said, that is an awesome idea. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get members to join? I said, I got to get the word out. So we started adding people, and probably within the first few weeks, I started getting over hundreds. And I'm literally right now, I think I'm at 1,082 or 83.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to get this big turnout. And I told Cassie, I said, I want to make this a successful group. I've been in other groups where I've been ridiculed because I was posting something that's probably been posted hundreds of times, like older residue. I
Yeah.
want this group to be different. I want it to be where people who are new waking up, that they can feel free to post. If they want to post C3PO, yeah, that's an older one, with the gold legs, and now it's silver.
Yeah.
I want people to feel comfortable within this group, and I have gotten so much positive feedback from my members. I feel so excited about this group. This is like the most awesome, fulfilling experience I've ever had. And I mean, if anybody listens to this video that's in the group, I love you. I love all you guys. This has like been so positive for me and everybody. And I want you guys to know that I love all my members.
Right. So,
And this is like the happiest thing in the world that's ever happened to me. And I feel like I have a purpose now. That's it. I have a purpose.
well, that's great. And go ahead, and the name of your group is Reality Residue Hunters.
Yeah, you want to show the link, or do you want to post a link somewhere?
Well, we'll post it in the notes.
And feel free, if you join, feel free. You can post whatever residue you want. I don't care if it's Skechers or Febreze or however old it is. We're all at different stages of waking up.
Right. Right.
We're all at different stages. We've all gone through our own personal effects where some of us are having people that are telling people stories that something happened to them, and
Right.
people are seeing trees popping up out of nowhere. I've spoke to somebody the other day that said they had a building pop up. I think is it Life Matrix?
Yeah.
He's seen hotels pop up out of nowhere. Gloria's had her experience with buildings, which you can ask her about that. Buildings that are only supposed to be 2 or 3 stories are now like high rises.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced that yet, but I'm sure that'll probably happen one day. But everybody's got personal ME experiences that happen to them. And I told the group, I said, please post any personal stories that you may have.
Right.
And there's a lot of, and that's of course related to the Mandela Effect. People have all these different personal things,
Right.
that they're experiencing. And I love my group. And if you guys want to join out there, you're welcome to join. And it's Reality Residue Hunter
On Facebook.
and I'm just really thrilled about it. And I just want to thank you again for interviewing me. I don't know. Do you have any other questions? I mean, and yes, I have weird ways of finding my residue.
Yeah, I know. I think we've covered most of the things that we need to cover for now. But maybe we'll have another time we can get together.
Yeah, we can do this again. We can have like part 2.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Theresa.
You're welcome. I definitely want to do this again. I really enjoyed this.
Okay, thank you. And
Are you going to you're going to post it in the group for me?
yeah, I'll post it for you.
I would appreciate if you do that as soon as you get it uploaded,
No problem.
and go ahead and post it in the group.
Yeah, sure, no problem. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Click the subscription button, and feel free to leave any kind of comments you would like to leave.
Yes.
And thank you very much, Theresa Lynch.
Thank you, Harold. And I really enjoyed this very much, and I hope to hear from you again. We'll definitely do this again.
Okay.
And I can't wait for you to post it in the group.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for tuning in, everybody. Have a good
Yes, thank you, everybody. And you have a good night. Bye-bye.